Pastor. Very glad you're with me today. I'm sitting here in my office and I thought about you. I hope you're welcome to our Prosperity Team meeting. You know, we believe in being on time, so we're glad to have you with us. I want to take you on a journey today where we're going to talk about money. This is our uh, once a month gathering. We gather on Wednesday night and the second Wednesday, and we gather on the second Saturday. Second Saturday meeting will be in person here at the church, and that's going to be at get it right, Temple at 10 o'clock. Our books and brunches at 11, so we have that once a quarter. So they kind of run together sometimes. So this is going to be a wonderful discussion. We're gonna get close to finishing our book, and then I'm gonna introduce you to our new book, which is gonna be for next year, which I don't want you to miss. It's a really good book. And I've been kind of scouring through it, and I got my trusty friend and partner in reading, Miss Sheila Bishop. Minister Sheila Bishop is here, and she is really a wonderful support person. Loves to read like me, and is not afraid of the journey. So I'll let you see her in a second, but let me pray for you and we'll get started. Father, I thank you for our time together. I pray for grace. I pray for wisdom. I pray that we'd have a time of learning and growing. I ask you to give us the wisdom to see past all the things that are surrounding us. And I thank you and praise you for this opportunity to be here today in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, there's a whole lot going on. I see I got a bunch of y'all on here. Let me see how many y'all got. Yeah, a bunch of y'all gathering up with me. And a couple of dozen. I appreciate that. The rest of you will be sent this by email. So if you missed it in person, at least you can watch it on demand. We've been in a whole lot of activity. I know the election just happened, and some of you are sad, some of you are happy, and some of you don't know how to feel. But I want to talk about that on Sunday. I'm going to do a sermon on dealing with disappointment. And Ms. Bishop, make a note, that is the new title, Dealing with Disappointment. That's what I'm going to talk about. And we're going to share a word that I think will be a help to everybody who's gone through this very tumultuous season of challenge. And so if you missed last week's sermon, go on the website and listen to that thing. I talk about the big topics that people are struggling with. I talk about a biblical way to look at all those issues, abortion, gay rights, how a Christian can view all that stuff. Some of you may have seen some of my posts online. We put some of it on Facebook and Twitter and all that. But I really believe in Instagram. I think it's really important for us to know how to respond to these issues. So I'll give you a short answer for some of you. So give me just a little bit, Pastor. Just give me a little word just to help me through this season right now. Well, here it is. Democracy has to be when you win and when you lose. It can't just be when you win. And so Kamala Harris gave her concession speech. I thought it was fabulous. If you missed it, you got to go watch it. It's classy, done well. So go check it out. And you can go see Donald Trump's acceptance speech, and you can, compare and listen. But I appreciate the way that Kamala gave her concession speech, and it was well done. So I will say no more. And I just believe we need to speak to what you're dealing with in your head first, so you can focus with me. I know some of you are in the middle of it all, and you were all one way, and your heart's hurt, your mind's all bent up. But come on, let's get focused, and let's talk about your prosperity, because you don't even know them personally. You got to think about yourself for a minute, your own prosperity, where you're going, and your finances. And so let's get to it. Now, I want to take you. Let me show you the book. Brian's with me. Mr. Brian, you back there in the background there, sir, and show us the book that we are reading. This is the book that we've been reading. It's called Biblical Wealth and Prosperity by P.B. Lamb. And it's a Christian guide to manifesting money. And as a plane flies over my head here, as you hear that, just ignore it. But I want you to understand this is the kind of book that is just, well, let me show you. But show them let's let you see the table of contents. It's a book that just hasn't, I don't think anybody will be able to see that, Brian, unless they got little teeny weeny eyes. That is little. So let me tell Technology. Oh, there you go. I can see it better than I myself. Wow. I need to put on my glasses. That's the deal. Chapter 1, I don't know if you can see it all there in chapter 1, understanding biblical perspective on money. Yeah, developing a faith-focused mindset, how to have faith when it comes to your money. We talked about prayer and manifestation and how praying is important. And chapter 4, financial goal setting. I'm going to pick up on that chapter briefly and just summarize a little bit of that. Chapter 5, living a faith-driven financial life. We talked about that, the word of faith, different word of faith movement. We talked about how people viewed money, building wealth through biblical wisdom. And we're going to pick up on chapter 7 tonight, chapter 7 and chapter 8, handling financial challenges with faith and the power of gratitude and contentment. And then Saturday, we're going to close out with a giving heart and impactful ministry, and chapter 10, manifesting money through Christian faith. Now, let me just say, the conversations we're going to have, and Ms. Bishop's going to join me in a minute, are designed to get you to think about money in a practical way. Now, here's my view about money in church. Church is not the place you want to talk about money, because churches have a problem with it. They struggle with money and prosperity. And so I felt that on Sunday morning, rather, I just didn't have but 5 minutes. So I wanted to gather you together and just have a conversation so we can talk about finances and believe that God can help you get to where you want to be. So let me tell you what my original purpose was. So this is what I call our objective, what we were trying to do. We were trying to get people to learn how to prosper, advance themselves so they can have resources to make a difference. So the goal is to help you get to a place where you have resources so you can make a difference. And it's not just to get you to give. I do want you to give. And I'll share some of the issues about giving on Saturday briefly when our in-person and online gatherings. So if you can't be here, if you're out of town, don't worry about it. Just tune in to us online. Starts sharply at 10 o'clock, ends in 1 hour, so 10 to 11. But I want to go back to chapter 4, because chapter 4 kind of helps this happen. If I have a dream that you're going to somehow advance financially, you're going to have a plan. That's why I love chapter 4. It's designed to help you think of, okay, what can I do to get to my goal? Most people do not have what I call good rhythms and routines. That's the problem. So it's the way you run your life. It's the way you run your money. It's the way you strategize and plan. You have to have a strategy and you have to have a plan. Now, I'm telling you, as a Christian, I've struggled because I thought God's going to give it to me. God's just going to drop it down on me and he's going to put it in my life and I'm going to just have it. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And I want you to understand that if you don't have a plan, you're not going to have much in your life. And that's, you can pray, you can talk to God, but if you don't have a plan. So here's the question: what's your plan? And that requires something called goal setting, where you say, okay, let me put my glasses on. Let me say, all right, let me set my goal. Let me set my target. And so there's something about being clear about how. So for example, the reason I did this, right now there's 50 plus of you online with me. I know, and hundreds will watch this when it's all over with. My goal in doing this was to create an opportunity to raise the awareness about finances and to raise our consciousness about it. Some families are good about this conversation. Some churches are good about it. Most churches are not. But they talk about money. They talk about estate planning. They talk about financial strategy. They talk about it. They sit down and strategize how they're going to make money and build businesses. That's not common in families. And so if you don't do that, that means you have no goal. And if you don't have any goal, you're not going anywhere. So goal setting is really important. Chapter 4 talks about that a lot. So I want you to think about that. I want you to come up with your, what is your goal? How do you set your goals? It's really cool. I have a weekly savings goal every week, not every month. I have a weekly saving strategy. And then I have a monthly saving strategy. And then I have an annual saving strategy. So what is your saving strategy? What is your cash goals? What are your targets? What are you trying to get to? For some of you, you just said, I want to get to $1,000. I want to get to a place where I have $1,000. I had several things happen in my life in the last several months The storm that cost me thousands of dollars. Some trees fell in my yard, and oh god, it was a lot. And then a leak in my house. Can you believe it? On the staircase, and on the staircase, there's a pipe that went from the restrooms upstairs, and there's a pipe that went down, and this pipe, the one that goes downstairs, but there's a little bitty hole in it, little bitty hole. As a matter of fact, they're going to be in my house putting in new flooring because of it in a couple of days. So it cost me a lot of money. And I tell you, you know, if you didn't have cash, you'd have to go use credit, and that's a problem. And so it was really a good lesson in setting money aside so that when those things happen, you can attend to them. And then so I had a leak inside. I had 3 leaks. I found 3 leaks. Then I had what else I had? I had a lot going on. I had a lot of things happen to me. I told y'all somebody hit my car. I told y'all that. I'm still waiting on it. Can you believe it? August 29th is when they hit my car. And it's been waiting on one little part, and it's been sitting there. My new car I bought for myself to celebrate my birthday. But things happen. And when things happen, the question is, what can you do about it? You know, do you have insurance? Did you prepare yourself? You know, so goal setting and laying things out can really be a blessing to you. So having said that, let me review for you the way that this book talked about smart planning, and I use the word SMART as an acronym. And then we're going to invite Ms. Bishop in here to bring some questions to the conversation. First of all, they said you got to be specific. SMART. You got to be specific in your plans. So what specifically are you trying to do, trying to save? Where are you trying to prepare for? M, smart, right, means measurable. It has to be something that you can measure. So you want a measurable way to judge what you're going to accomplish. So, you know, I want to be specific. I'm trying to get to $1,000, and I'm going to every week set aside that I get paid. I'm going to set aside $50. You see, that's measurable. And then you can look at it and say, yeah, I did it. Okay. Then A, achievable. So here's what you don't want to do. You make $1,000 a week, right? So you have $950 worth of bills. You don't have much margin. You can't save $50 a week. You might can save 10. You follow what I'm saying? You need to make sure that what you do is achievable. You're not trying to compare with somebody else. You're trying to be who you are. Here we go. Realistic. Okay, it's got to be SMART. SMART. It's got to be specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic. And that's important for you to be clear about that. And then T, time sensitive. When are you going to do it? What days are you going to do it? I had a financial planner one time. He said, I know you can, but will you do it? Is the question. It's really great. And I'm glad I didn't do it with him, because he didn't end up well. Thank you, Jesus. So you got to get the right guy to help you. But the point, it was a great statement. Am I going to do it? And thank God, I think I'm on the right road. So let me stop here, Ms. Bishop. Come on into the fray here a little bit. Let them see you. Hello, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
Oh man. So how's your life? Are you being smart?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought about with the SMART, but let me just first say that if anyone has any questions, of course, you can put those in the chat, and we will certainly be glad to have Pastor Rick to entertain your questions as well. And just for fun, Pastor Rick, just to start with, you talked about how God gets involved in what you're doing. And can you talk a little bit about practically how you have seen that happen in your life? Because when you think about, you talked about saving weekly, saving monthly. Those are things that we seem to think, okay, well, we're doing this, but we have goals that we want to set, and then we want God to be involved, and we invite him in. How does that really look from a practical standpoint? Is he just going to give us a windfall of money? Is he going to have someone to give us some, just some extra money? Or what does that kind of look like for real?
I see it two sides to it. On the practical side, on the spiritual side. Let me do
Yeah.
that. People like that first, right? Spiritual side, acknowledge Him in all your ways. When I get paid, I'm always praying. Thank you, God, for this. I receive this. I'm very clear when I get money where the money needs to go. Money needs to have a mission, a destination. So if I get an extra $500 or $1,000 or whatever, then that money goes in what's called an unexpected money account, right? So I just hold on to that, and that's what I'm working on. I'm doing pretty good. It's like, okay, any extra money I get, I'm trying to do that. So money, when I get paid, I'm real clear about what the budget is for this pay period. What I'm going to save. I'm big on percentages. I'm going to say, 10% tithe. I'm a big tither, believe in honoring God first. I tell people, if you can't tithe, start somewhere. Tithe means tenth. Do it. Be a twofer or a threether or whatever. Try, so whatever it is, start with, be consistent. The real power, Dan is really good at this. She just really is methodical. 55, 50 to 50, 50, 50, 50. She says, she really is. So that's where I start. So on the spiritual side, I pray. I acknowledge God. On the practical side, I put in place a system that allows me to be consistent.
Okay, good. And so can you talk a little bit more about how you personally go about planning in terms of how you include how do you really decide what you're going to do with your money?
Um, I like to plan first by myself. I'll sit down so that I get my thoughts on paper. I'm big on paper. I like to write things down, and I'll try to keep it like within 5 things, like really small lists. I don't write 50 things. I have some lists that I've done there, like for the year. Okay, 12 things, 20 things I want to do. But I've discovered that if I make the list small, I just can. It's measurable, right? So I'll sit down, write down my strategy for the month, the year, or whatever. So if, I want to pay off something. I'll say, okay, I'm going to make this many payments, and I'm willing to risk this much. I don't pay. I believe in paying cash for almost everything. I really do. But there are some items you buy, like a car, or whatever. If you want to buy it, I would sit down and say, okay, when am I going to pay it off? How can I prepay it? And how what's my budget for that? And I'd stick with it. There's some wonderful things I'm doing right now that are really exciting that are tied to that. So the second thing I do is I gather people around me who can think and contribute. So I have different pockets of people that would help me think through a decision. If it's a purchase, maybe a real estate, or if it's some tax issue or whatever it is, I believe in having people around me, and then I read about everything. I mean, I read, as you know, and I research. I love AI. I love Chat GPT. I love Copilot. I love tools that help me. Was a Google fanatic for years, but anything that helps me research, where I can find out what's the best way. I let people disagree with me. That's another one of my techniques, and I ask for it. And I tend to be respectful. Don't be giving the brother a hard time. But some people don't have anybody that disagrees with them. I mean, and that's the question for those of you watching: who disagrees with you? Who's allowed in your world to disagree with you? And I'm married to Diane, and she's really good at it. What do you mean by that? That don't make sense to me. Really, Diane? Okay. But I've learned that process is good for me.
Okay.
Also, wait. Now, my wife would say, no, you don't wait that long now. But I do believe in waiting. And I think that having people around you that encourage you to wait is important. So I wait, and then I go back and debate the plan a second or third time. And once I go through that process, then I act. I set dates. I don't want to spend my whole life thinking about something and never doing it. So that's my little plan.
Okay. As a when you're have a spouse, do you involve them in all of your financial decisions, or can you just kind of speak about that? We've heard a lot about how, communication and money and those kind of things. Do you should you have your own money
Oh
when you're
yeah, I'm big on that. Absolutely. I believe in my wife having her own money. Uh, let me say this. Money is about where you are with it in that season of your life. So if you're in this season where we ain't got much, we only got $20 between us. We need to talk. We need to talk about it. We only got $20. So when it's that tight, it makes sense to have this long, drawn out conversation about whether you're going to spend $5 here or $3 there and all that. But once you get to the place where you've found a system where you can pay bills. So for example, I tell people that are getting married, I'll say I draw three boxes, right? My money, her money, our money, right?
Mhm.
And I'll say, I believe in a person having dignity. I believe in a person, if Diane wants to go and buy a dress or buy something, she doesn't have to ask me for it. That's my personal opinion. I believe a girl needs cash. I do. I think it does something for her psyche and emotional value, to not have to come through me to get everything, especially if she works every day. So what we did was we have what's called a bill pay account, right? A bill pay account. So the bill pay account is where the money is put. And I would, if you are in a relationship, where you make so much, she makes so much, you determine what the percentage should be. You don't want to, if I make 100,000, she make 20,000, she can't get the same percentage, the same as I give. That ain't right. So I said the 100,000 numbers lift some of y'all faith up. I want you, I want to inspire you to believe. So anyway, so let's say you give, $2,000 a month. They give $3,000 a month. Your bills are 6,000 or 5,000. So now you got 5,000 in that account. You may kind of put another 5,000 in that account, an extra $1,000. I don't push your faith too much. Extra $1,000 in that account, and so we're going to build that thousand up to where one day we're going to have an extra 5,000 because our bills are $5,000 a month. Okay, let me lower it for you. $4,000 a month. Okay, it's 4,000. I'm trying to stretch your faith up there a little bit. $4,000 a month. So we're gonna get that account to where we have at least a minimum of $4,000 in there a month. And every month I put my portion, you put your portion, and we pay the bills out of that. Who's going to do it? Then you talk about that. Diane's a good bill paymaster right now. She's the paymaster in our home. So if I do some work or if I have a vendor come by, Diane cuts the check. She makes sure it gets sent. I'll pay it sometime, but normally it's her. And I like that because she gets to see the flow of the money. She goes through the mail. That's another thing we do. Where when the mail comes, I put it on a certain place and she goes through it. She sorts out the bills, files them, and all that. And that's, there's a collaboration in it, but I believe in empowering the other person. I hope I'm over answering your question, Emma.
Oh no, I think that's great. One more question, and we got one online. You mentioned about money needs to have a mission. Can the
Mhm.
mission be that I just want to keep my money, or does it? I mean, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the point is that when you get money, if you don't plan what your money is going to do before you get it, it just kind of goes everywhere.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
it's I need to pause here and say this. I forgot. Some of you, when you tuned in, I was going to have a guest, but it didn't work out. So you just got me today. And
Right.
then Saturday as well. So we'll have the guest in our upcoming events, but not today. But anyway, so yeah, I think that it's okay to keep your money, but I think it's important to share. So what you got? What you got online?
Okay, one great question we have online is the question on tithing. Do you tithe on the gross or the net?
You know what I tell people? Um, hey Vicky, you know what I tell people, Vicky? I tell them tithe on what you want to be blessed on. That's my answer. You want to tithe on a smaller amount, But my wife has a philosophy. When I got married, I was not 100% tithe. I used to tithe maybe like 70, 80%. I I wasn't like consistent all the time. But Diane, when I got married to Diane, I said, "Hey, man, buddy, we need to tithe on." And she said, "No, tithe on the gross." She said, "Because you pay all them bills, you pay you give the government on the gross. You need to give God on the gross." So that's what she believed. I follow suit with that. So we tithe on the gross in our family. But there are people who just ain't got that kind of faith. They just ain't gonna do it. But that's what I say. Tithe on what you want to be blessed on. That's what I say.
Okay. Can I ask one more before you go to the next section?
Sure.
You mentioned about credit cards, or you like to pay for everything cash. Do you ever see a practical time that it's okay to use a credit card, and what should that look like in terms of a model that, because we know they can get the limits can be astronomical, interest rates, and the other side. But do you ever see a practical side of when it's okay to use a credit card? Because I've heard individuals say, "Well, I put everything on my credit card, and then I just go home and pay it off." And I thought to myself, well, if I'm just going to go home and pay it off, I may as well just pay for it now. I mean, what's the point?
Well, here's what I'm going to do, Sheila.
Uh-oh.
I did not plug up my computer. It's about to go out. So, Brian, I'm going to take a personal commercial break. Sheila, just answer that question your way. I'll be right back. Y'all talk to Sheila for a minute. I'll be right back.
Well, maybe some of you can put in the chat how do you use your credit cards, and what's your thoughts on it. Like I said, for me, if I'm going to be at the store and using the credit card and just go home and pay it off, what's the point of putting it on the card? And one of the things, to be transparent, so hopefully Pastor Brick will be back, so I don't start telling a whole bunch of stuff about myself, but I don't always find myself so disciplined with being able to do that. So it's better for me not to use it. I pay it, and I see you, Jewel. Do you use the point system? You mean, I'm assuming that you're talking about points in terms of the credit card where you can accumulate these points and that kind of thing. Pastor Rick is back, and I am so happy.
I love it. I think you should roll on.
Well, I think you have to be honest. I think you have to be honest with yourself. If you don't have the discipline to do that, I don't think that's a good system for me. And now Jewel mentioned put it on the credit card and pay it off when you get home so you can get the points on the card. And Dr. Perry said to build credit. Well, if your credit's already built and you're putting too much on the credit card, then that's the issue. So
let me say this. I'm gonna say this because it's just my credit score is like 850. It really is, for real. 830, 850. It's fucking about 850. Not 850. I can go look it up and tell you real quick. But it's 850. So anyway, so I don't need any more score. There is no value for me in using a credit card other than convenience. I have had, if I can go back in my life, I would never use them.
Okay.
Other than for convenience. And if I didn't have the money, but I understand why I use them, because generally speaking, when a person uses a credit card, they're trying to, that's a cash bridge for them. So they're trying to protect themselves from some kind of, shortfall. So they go on vacation, they go, spend $3,000, they don't have it, or $1,000, whatever. And that they'll pay it off over 90 days or whatever. The problem with having those kind of bridges is it showcases a weakness. You don't have the cash. If you had the cash, it's not a problem. So I use credit cards personally, but all of them are zero today. All of them are zero. I don't even, matter of fact, I have a whole system. Jewel, the point things, points are like a trap, because points, I have lots of points, you can imagine. And nowadays it used to be you could fly on, for 15,000, 25,000 miles, you could fly on there, but now it's ridiculous. My wife is the point master. Hey, I'll tell you a quick story. When Diane, I first saw me, I get a lot of mail, right? And she said, "You're always getting mail. you're always getting junk mail like this. What is this Delta miles thing? So she's holding it up, and I says, oh, what that is? I showed her. I said, that means that I get free flights. And I think I've got 4 free tickets. And she says, let me see that. And she's been queen over it ever since. So she uses them, but now flying is almost a joke. I mean, you used to get a flight, upgrades but now. So my point is, you get the miles, but you have to think about it this way, Joel. If you have to get 100,000 miles, you got to spend most of the time $100,000. and then you only get like 2 hotel room stays out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they're a little smarter than us. And now some people, sometimes they give you 5 times the miles, but still you're spending $25,000, $30,000 to get the 100,000 miles. And so I am a million-mile flyer on Delta, 1.5 million miles. That's right. So I've had a lot of miles, but they found ways to get them. I mean, they did. They're just smart, So that's my view. I think cash is your friend, and I think if you can avoid the credit card trap, I'll tell you what I say when I think about a credit card. It's the devil in your pocket. That's what I say in my head. It's my little private thing. And I'm telling you can't pay them off because the interest rate is wicked and evil and just ungodly. I'll give you another thing too, Sheila, we didn't talk about. That same day's cash trap. 90 days. I'm telling you, it is incredible. It's incredible. I just bought a Generac for my house, right? And they called me today. They're going to be installed in soon. Yes, Jesus. I'm never going to be in that bondage again. Hallelujah. But I'll tell y'all, don't tell everybody when I told y'all, they got an 18-month same as cash deal, right? But then here's what they do. You ready? They give you a credit card. And the credit card, and it's a nice black credit card to make you really want to spend it. And then they put the whole charge on the credit card. And you got 18 payments. If you don't pay them, you're going to be out. And I'm going to tell you, don't do it if you can't do it. So you have 3 choices. You can get, I think it's 7% interest or 3% interest, and then you can get it where it's no percent. So I told them, no. I gave them $500 down. Then I said, okay, now I'm going to give you, watch me work. They told me I could pay off early. I said, you watch me work. No, I ain't giving you my money up front. No, I ain't gonna do that. But most people, if you can't pay it, I'll tell you another trap while we're on a roll here. I've done all, so I know about this. I've done all this. So you get the credit card, right? And you do what they call a balance transfer.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we have a special sale, and we want you to transfer all of your debt to us. And we'll give you here's the key, listen carefully, for 18 months or for 12 months until 2026. They'll name some way out date. And you won't have to pay any interest. So here's what they know. 80% of the people who do that don't pay it out. So, and all the interest accrues. And so let's say you got $10,000. By the time you get there, it'd be a whole bunch of thousands more on top of that will hit you in one day. So if that 2-year time they gave you, 18 months, it's 18 months and 1 hour. If you haven't paid it off, all that interest accrues. So I'm telling you, the bottom line is credit card debt has never been my friend. I can go a little further. Second mortgages. You ready for that one? Second mortgages. I know how I did all this. I was mad. And back when we did it, you get a second mortgage on your house, take out the money, and it was 1% interest. You can invest it. Oh, it was amazing. And then you could write it off on your taxes. It was just, this is free money. It was good. And then they changed it. Now you can't write it off. But the trap is, why are you doing that? See, if you think about it, why am I using cash advances? Why am I using second mortgages? Why am I borrowing $10,000 on my house to fix something? Why don't I have $10,000?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I? That's what, to me, I used to like the fact that I had a deal. A friend of mine had an American Express card, Sheila. It was gold, and he flashed it one day. I said, "Ooh, boy, that's the cool. Membership have its privileges." And I got that card, and I was American Express, And then, I remember the first time. I don't know why we called me or something. I don't know what happened. I wasn't like late or nothing, but I remember talking to him. Anyway. But I remember here's what the lady said to me. This is back in the day. They changed now. Now they let you charge and carry a balance. She said, "This is not a charge card. You are due to pay this in 30 days." 30 days you had to pay it off. Now they changed it, and they got this 30%, 27.5% interest rate. It's ridiculous. And if you don't pay it, it's 27%. And then if you late one day, they'll go to 35%. I mean, they got all kinds of things they can do. So my bottom line about credit cards is a sign of weakness. On your credit score, it's a sign of weakness. I understand you believe you can build credit, but let's build credit another way rather than using that. So that's a long answer, Sheila.
Well, that's okay. It was really good because one of the things that you mentioned about building credit, there are several individuals say that's one of the primary reasons they use their credit card is they put something on there and then they pay it off. And the end result is building their credit score. And Elza said that she likes to use her credit card because she misplace or lose cash. So I don't know if you.
No, I think it's fine if you're gonna pay it off like right away. I pay off every day.
Okay.
That's me. I don't carry balances at all. They don't make any money on me. It's purely for me a convenience option so that I can have great records. So when I do taxes or other things, and I can tell you to the penny what I spend, because 99% of what I spend is on a card because I can always track it. I want to be able to track how I spend. But if you are not, listen to me carefully, able to do that, if you're not going to do it, you're not disciplined enough, you don't have enough cash to do that, don't do it. My experience has been, oh, I'll pay it when the paycheck. Oh, I'll pay it. Oh, I'll pay it. And you just don't pay it. And I think it's a trap. It's a trap. Did I say the word trap?
Trap.
It's a trap. It's a trap. So,
well, Bonnie and Pat said they use their credit cards to travel and they pay them off when they return. So we got a lot of conversation about how to use those credit cards and being, I don't want to say creative, but different reasons that people use them.
All right. Well, good. Well, let's move to chapter 8. We mentioned chapter 7 here, chapter 7 in the book. It's called Handling Financial Challenges with Faith. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. So when it comes to money, one thing I've learned, Sheila, is you have to have courage. When you're spending certain amounts of money, there's a lot of courageous issues you face with money. And I have struggled at times with my courageous boldness because I'm pretty much a risk taker. I'll lean in. And,
well, I think it'd be interesting to ask you what are some times that you have been tempted to be afraid about spending money or the challenges that you have with spending money?
My expenses, these buildings, they're expensive. Renovations, upgrading the staff. It's expensive to have a staff and to have people that you make a decision about the quality of what you do, right? And you can have an average looking world or you can have above average looking world. And so it's expensive to have to do it at a certain level, and that can be intimidating. It can be, the cost of doing ministry can really challenge you. But my problem is I'm naive enough to believe I can. So far so good, but it does become emotionally challenging to stretch certain places. But if you don't stretch, you don't get there. You just don't get there. I mean, if you're not willing to lean in and make it happen, it won't happen. It just won't happen. And I think there are times when you're like, I wonder, is my clock behind me on time? Did they change my clock? Let me see. I got a clock. Yeah, okay. Praise God. You know, I know time changed the other week. My staff changed the clock. It's good.
Oh,
I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the clock behind me and said, did they change that? It's good. See, that's staff. See what I mean? Good people. I'm in my office, and anyway, who cares? So that's a little thing I got. See, a little problem going on in my head. I got to make sure you know. I thought somebody be home saying, "Is this clock right? Is that clock?" You know. But anyway, I believe that for me, the challenge, getting back on target here, is the courage to do things at a higher level. I like things to be done nicely. I like when we have programs, I want it to run well. I want the music to be right. I want the camera shots to be right. I want it to look like we thought about it. And that takes courage. Some churches and people, they accept things. My house, I like my house clean. I like everything in place. I'll go home tonight and I'll wash clothes. Ta-da! That's me. I have a list of things that I'll do. I work ahead in my sermons. I like the best technology. I like the best tech watch. I like the next. And so that's expensive. That can be expensive. And
what could you just settle for something a little less? I mean, do you have to have a Rolex when Timex? All you're trying to do is keep up with time.
Timex, girl. I ain't got no Timex. I got an Apple Watch.
I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, I think you should.
You were talking about stretching, you know, and having better and a higher. One of the words that came to mind was excellence. It's to have a higher level of excellence requires, you know.
I think is where you're trying to go. You know, if you're trying to get to the next $1 million, you know, you really can't have sloppy stuff. If you're trying to get to the next, you know, $100,000, you can't. You know, there's a price tag for getting, you know, this many people to come and hear you every week. That's not going to be free. You know, thousands of people are not going to watch you if you look raggedy, and if you don't know what you're talking about and you're not able to, you know, guide them to a place where they can benefit from hearing you. So there is a price tag in terms of how your facility looks. You don't have to have something that's super nice, super nice. It says be clean, has to be, you know, kept up. And that's the fight around here, you know, painting and all that stuff. You know, we got new bids out, always having to keep up. I think upkeep does something for your soul. It does. I think you do better, you know, you get a little haircut, you put some oil on your face, you try to look decent, you work out a little bit, you know, get at least one muscle, you know, and just try to look in the mirror and feel good about your life. You know, I had this thought I'll share. It's kind of off the base a little bit. This morning when I woke up, you know, after the election, all the emotion of all that, you know, I woke up and I said, I got the same house, I have the same car. You know, I told Dad, you got the same husband. You know, it's like, hey, you know, whatever happens around me, it's good to feel that what I have is something I'm proud of, that I'm not embarrassed by. Even my lawn, I'm real picky about all that because I realize emotionally when I pull out of my house, I feel better as a person. So it's not just about being extreme, but it is about being a person who advances. So I hope I've answered that.
Well, yeah, but I think I'm also looking at if you're trying to build wealth, I mean, there has to be a balance with spending it at an appropriate time. If you got to save it and spend it and then you continuously trying to upgrade. I think I'm just trying to say, can you kind of talk
Well,
about how you balance all of that?
I'm not talking about extreme upgrades. I'm just talking about cutting your grass. I'm talking about just keeping
Oh,
things up. I know. I think there's seasons when you upgrade. You know, we came through one of those seasons in our family where we did some upgrades to the house, but those are really upgrades that needed to be done. You know, painting and like I tell you, when the pipes burst in the house and things like that. Those were things that were necessary. Um, Extreme expansions, no, that wouldn't be wise at this time because of our goals and objectives. So there are times you say no. Same thing in the church. You know, overcoming by faith. Um, you know, really needed to stop building for a while. We needed to, and then right now we're on like a 5-year hiatus. You know, where we're not going to build anything like to the church building. We're just renovating and keeping up. We have some other strategic plans we're working on, but the point is you have to make sure that you do have boundaries and you're not just doing stuff, especially when there's no return on the investment. You know what I'm saying? So there are things I'm doing where I'm spending money where there's a return, an expected return on that investment. That makes sense. But just spending and spending and spending, no, I don't want to just do that. You're right.
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me press on to the last section here then. The power of gratitude. In chapter 8, it talks about the importance of gratitude. Let me read Hebrews 13, verse 5. It says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. And now this is a really important word. The word content is used. And it really means I've got enough. It means that I don't have to go and find anything else. You have to have that ability. The balance is, okay, I want to build and advance, but yet I want to learn how to say that's enough. And so he says, I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you, but learn the value of contentment. And I love something that Sidney Poitier said. He said his mother or someone in his family, the mother, I think his mother told him, you get a long way in life if you say, please and thank you.
Yes.
I thought that was such a cool thing. You know, Sidney Poitier, some of you younger people, look him up. But yeah, it was such a powerful thought. And I think it's insulting to God to not be thankful. Hey, Brian, how are you? You joining us? That's Brian. He wanted to show y'all who he was. That's Brian. So anyway, the point is when a person is content, it takes out the angst. And I do believe you get to a place of fulfillment. You know, I think our church had to say, okay, we're not going to financially where we are, goals and objectives. We have another set of goals, and the church is going to be really excited down the road to be able to talk about it. But there's some things we want to do that we think would be just really smart. But learning how to be content where you are and then set goals that help advance you in a healthy way. So
talk a little bit, Pastor, about the love of money. I just hear that so much, and I think maybe you have reviewed it before. But what is the love of money?
Well, it has to do with you being the kind of person who sees money as an all in all and all in all in all. You know, it's kind of like looking it up here for a minute because I want to make sure I give you the right stuff. That's what I love about you folks, because you don't mind studying with me, right? These are like studies, right? So we're like in this together, and we're kind of working through our stuff together. But here it is, love of money. It says in 1 Timothy chapter, was that at 1 Timothy 6:6, right?
Yes.
Let me do that. 1 Timothy 6:6. Let me pull it up real quick. Is that right? Is it 6:6 or is it
1 Timothy 6:6-7?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Boy, it's funny when you have these new versions, they just change on you. But let me just, I'm not going to be defeated. For the love of money is the root of all evil. That is not in that verse. That is the wrong verse, Sheila. It is.
Okay, let me see.
It is the wrong verse. Wow.
1 Timothy 6:10.
There you go. That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Okay, we had the wrong word. Yeah. Phalegra is the Greek word. And the love of money, I think this is an interesting word. I think what's fascinating is, let's do this first. Is it First Timothy 6 and 10?
First
Let's,
Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil,
mhm.
which
Yeah.
while some coveted after they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves.
First Timothy, y'all look this up if you're out there. First Timothy 6 and 10.
Mhm.
Um, so let me say this is something I've just not done. Yeah, it's phileo, affection. The idea of when love becomes your main friend.
Mm.
Much. Um, and it really is the dangerous thing that you do, because there's all these words in Greek for love, and it's when you allow yourself to view money as the main thing. It's what I look for. It's what my life is defined by, and that's dangerous. It's really hard sometimes for people to make that distinction, because when you talk about money
Mhm.
in a church setting, normally they want you to tone it down. So what about business person who's trying to build a business? How do they balance it out? But it's when you make the love of money the whole of your life. Everything is about money. Every relationship, everything is tied to it. I think that's dangerous. But if you're in business, you're in business to make money. If you sell chairs, right? Then this is your business, selling chairs. And so that's a good, and you should love doing that. You should love the money, love making new deals. But when it becomes everything to you, when it becomes the thing that holds you close, holds your soul, in Greek, it's a particular kind of attachment, the word covetousness, a covetous or excessive desire for wealth. That's the word. Um, the construction implies, it says that the love of money is not just a mild preference or a casual interest, but something more consuming. So in
Okay.
the Greek, that's what it means. So if a person, I think you can like getting paid, but not be overly consumed with it. So I hope that helps.
Okay. Do you think that could be a reason why it's difficult to talk about money in church per se? Because we don't want to come across like we just love it or out of balance with it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's really hard. It's really hard in church. It's hard because we have made it dirty, mean, and I think we're not honest. Churches need money because of the low percentage of givers, which I say all the time. 5 to 7% of church-going people tithe. In the average church, 1 out of 10 is a giver. I hope you're not on that list, y'all. All y'all watching, but one person. I hope you're the one person who does give in the church, right? But it's just amazing. So it's hard to get people excited about it. You see preachers try, they have them sing a song, come on, it's time to give. Come on, yeah. But that's temporary. You need that. It needs to be part of your cultural values, where you see the joy and the benefit of giving and helping build something together.
Now, one of the things that Jewel says is, I think is very interesting. Lord, never let me have ... excessive desire for wealth. But probably wouldn't there be some people in the church world that think we have a real desire for wealth by being part of a prosperity team?
Yeah. But that's them. They got issues. Jewel, let me push back on just a little bit. Okay, let me say this to you. My friend there up there in the country.
By Dahlia.
Yeah, I did. And that good part over there by that Toomey store, which I love. See, that's another problem I got. Toomey. I'm a bag guy. I like bags. I think. I think see. Here's the problem. Do you have enough desire for money to build a mall or a plane? Or build a city, buy a baseball team? See, what we run into is fear and limits.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so I want to see our church reach the next $1 million. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing, because I want to do more things. I want to help more. stuff costs money. The event we had outside the other day for all those kids is $20,000. I could have just had a little, baseball and a bat and, a couple of bags of candy, but nobody wouldn't have 50, 100 people show up either. You see? So, I mean, it depends on what the size of your vision. That needs to be the size of your paycheck, because you can't afford to do that if you don't have $20,000 and still can eat. And it's important for people to see that you have to have a next level income to do next level work in the kingdom.
We have a great comment here, Pastor, from Eric Stern. Eric says, some churches beat you over the head about money and it's a turnoff. But you, Pastor Rick, for instance, presents it to us in a way that we can receive it, because the church does need money.
Yeah, but this, Eric, I'm going to tell you why they do it now. They do it because they don't give. See, Eric, I know, Eric, now you moving to Eric's house. Let me tell you, you're not taking 10 people moving to Eric's house and nobody working. That's what church is like, Eric. You imagine 10 people moving your house, only one give. And the rest of them sitting on waiting for you to get off work and ask you what you got home for dinner. See, and they want you to do everything. And then when they get in trouble, they come borrow your money, want to borrow your car. I know Eric ain't gonna put up with that. So he's laughing because he knows the truth. So I know that this is the dilemma pastors and churches face. They don't create a healthy environment. Let me take this a step further, Sheila. You'll love this one. Do you know what a lot of churches do? And I want to say this, I'm just going to throw it out there. They have this planned giving thing where when they die, they leave the church money for the next generation, so that their churches in Savannah that have millions of dollars that were left to them by members. Jenkins, the
Jenkins Boys Club.
Boys Club and United Way benefit from a gift given by Mr. Jenkins. I think it's amazing how you can create next generational wealth. So if you got 1,000 people and they say, well, we're going to leave $100,000 or $50,000 or 20 or 10 or something for the next generation, you can fund missions for the next generation. You can fund outreaches. You can fund ladies programs, uniforms, all the stuff that we do. But you have to think in terms of the future and creating long-term generational wealth. So, and you need to be excited about that. People don't give if you're not excited. See, that's why churches don't have money, because you can't talk about it. That's why I did this. I did the prosperity team because I want to be able to talk about it. I want an hour of your time to talk about it. I want to be able to say what I want to say, answer questions, and have a place. And almost 400 of you already signed up for this. And when I send it out, they watch it. And so I think it's great.
Well, since we're getting close to our time, could you just talk about, of course, over time, your life has prospered. And what are you most grateful for as your life has prospered?
Control of my time. I like the fact that I call it retire along the way. Work hard, but yet I have time off. I love the new church schedule. First, second Sunday live. Third Sunday is this gathering Sunday for a special group, and which has been phenomenal this year. I mean, we've seen seniors come out in great numbers, young adults blowing it out the boy. It's just been great. And then fourth Sunday is our Sabbath Sunday. It's all digital. Everybody's home. I love it. I just think it's just one of the best things we've ever done. I don't feel tired or exhausted. So I like that. I like the fact that I have exciting things in the future, dreams. I'm so excited. I just finished a book. I'm really excited. It's on my desk. I'm so excited. I'm done. It's like,
what's your target date to release it?
First of the year. Yeah.
Okay.
We're in the middle of the graphics and all that right now, and we got a great layout team, and they've just been really great to work with. So I'm excited about that. And like the control factor, I've worked with publishers before, but we're self-publishing this one because I just think it's just nice, but anyway, I'm gonna go back to publishers later on, but I doubt it. We're gonna publish. We'll see how the world goes. That's another conversation about the business of book selling and the business of publishing. Man, are you kidding me? It's an amazing world. It's not what people think. Write a book. I can tell you a story. Smart people that can help me. I'm glad I got smart people like you and others around me who help me do what I do. So, and Brian and all these brilliant people in my life, and who I'm going to let go and rest for the rest of the night. But if there are not any more questions, then I'm
Well,
going to
there's one, I think, interesting thing again from Jewel. She said that she'd really like to know, and that could be something we talk about in the future, like to know more about establishing a trust for future generational wealth. So I thought that was just nice. Since you mentioned that about.
Well, it's one of the things that we're going to do for, when we plan down the road in our church to create a way for people to do that. They can say, we're going to leave money to the women's ministry, women, leave money for missions or outreaches or for the youth department or just for the church as a whole. And I just think it's really important to create long-term wealth. That's why just coming to church, doing it the old way you've done it forever and never talking about wealth, never having these conversations really limits you. So we're going to have, like I said, I'm working on guests and people to come and be with us in the coming months. But we're going to pick up on this on Saturday at 10 o'clock.
10
and we're going to talk 10 a.m. And we're going to talk about, we'll pick up on the building a business thing. We'll talk about that on Saturday and how you build a business, what I've learned about building a business and the mistakes I've made. How about that? We'll tell you about the mistakes, the things that I've done that were mistakes. I've lost $1 or $2 here or there. And we'll talk about how you can maybe consider that. And some of the guests I had planned are people who'd started businesses and they had great stories about how they did it. But my time is up. It's been great. We could go to 8:15. I think that was the plan, but we're going to stop at 8 o'clock. An hour is good. And we're going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. So many of you came. Good to have all of you with us. And those of you that are watching on demand, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you. I pray God blesses you and may you prosper and may your God give you the grace to have the things that you dream of. And I pray you get to places you never dreamed you could get. Father, bless them, bless us as we go. May your hand be upon us and may we prosper to do good in the world. That's what this conversation is all about on this prosperity team. We want to prosper so we have the power to do good in the world in Jesus' name. Not only for the world, but for us as well.
Pastor
Amen.
Rick, we also have brunch and books on Saturday, followed by the prosperity team.
And that is what time is, Bishop?
That's going to be at 11 a.m. to 12.
And so we're going to talk about our book with Making Decisions by Andy Stanley. It's a really good book. If you haven't read it, please come anyway. If you're struggling with the decision-making process, you'll love it. It's a wonderful book on decisions by Andy Stanley. So Making Great Decisions and Without Regret. It's really good. We got some other good books coming down the pike for next year. As a matter of fact, let me just mention our book that's coming because some of these may not make it back. So let me just pull it up really quick. Brian, do you have that book that's coming in our next? There it is, Understanding Money. And
that's the book for prosperity team now, not for brunch and books.
That's right. And that's going to be Think Wealthy Step 1. Your first step to financial freedom. Todd Havens is the name. It's a really good book. Got a wonderful concept in there about how you build a money wealth. He talks about, he has this great little concept that he shares about a money dam, where you build this. He has this great graphic we'll share with you where he shows us how you build wealth. And he talks about money freedom, security, safety, the lake. He calls it the lake of your net worth. And I'll talk more about all of that. That's going to be coming up in our next book project. But we'll finish this book. On Saturday, and then we'll start that book next. So have a great time. I'll see you then. Have a great day, folks. Thank you for being with us. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.